Hey, hope you are well, wealthy, and winning. Are you a consultant who feels stuck at a certain revenue level? Maybe you've got to a particular point in your consultancy journey and you're wondering how to actually gain higher quality clients on a more consistent basis without burning out. Well, if that's the case, this video is just specifically for you. I'm going to break down 3 very powerful pricing strategies that you can implement almost immediately into your consultancy business so that you can increase your profits, increase your fees, and add way more value to your clientele. So if that's the kind of video that you're looking for, be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you stay tuned and alerted to videos just like this one. And at the end of this video, I'm going to break down the game-changing strategy, just in a few very simple yet really powerful words that's going to help you to sell more eloquently, sell way more of your products, service, and training programs to your corporate clients, which, if you're doing a good job already, this can land you in the range of tens of thousands and in some cases, hundreds of thousands of pounds. So what are the 3 pricing strategies that I want to walk you through? The third one is an absolute game changer, by the way. So let's break down number 1. Number 1 is all about what we call ratchet pricing. Now, what do we mean by ratchet pricing? Ratchet pricing is actually a game-changing way of making sure that your price doesn't come across as a put-off for the customer, but in essence, it comes across as a massive value add. What does that mean? It allows you to create way more value for the client, makes them feel like working with you is the best next step, both from a position of value creation and from a position of feeling like the price point is actually in their best favor. And I'm going to show you how to do that really skillfully. Here's the problem. The problem that I see with a lot of corporate consultants and people that work with corporate big organizations is that they price based on the hours of their time. Understand this and understand this good. If you take anything away from this video, take this. When you price based on your time, remember that your time is limited, but your income should not be. So we've got to create a different model and pricing strategy that is not necessarily linked to our time. Because if you're pricing based on time, guess what happens? They're always going to compare you to Jim down the road and Jennifer down the street. And that just becomes a pricing battle. In essence, it somewhat can become a little bit of a race to the bottom. And as an expert, you don't want that. So what you can do, one of the ways that you can do this is what we call ratchet pricing. And that is to price based upon the number of people in the event. So let's say, for example, a corporate has, you say to a corporate, well, how many people would you like me to train and consult with? Let's say you're doing staff retention or something like that. Well, there's 500 people that we can potentially work with in that particular department. Okay, fantastic. So here's how the model works. As opposed to saying, well, it's going to be 10 grand. I had a client that walked this through with me and is like, yeah, I'm thinking of charging 10 grand, but I know that the client is going to think that that's way too much. So I showed them a different way. I said, well, if we've got 500 people, you might say something like this. Well, it depends on how many people you want us to help. So if we're working with, let's say, 100 of your team members, it's just £150 per person. What have I just done? Boom! I've increased the profit and I've made it feel way more comfortable for them. So you might say, okay, we work with a minimum of 100 people and it's just £150 per person, which makes it feel, 150 quid per person, no problem, we can work that out. And by the way, we want to add a way bigger impact. So the way that it works is that if you have 200 people, then it's just £125 per person. Now, if you notice what we're doing here, actually £150 per person, for those of you that are mathematicians in the room, or on the video, watching on the other side of this, you probably would have realized that £150 per person is what? It's 15 grand. So that is way bigger than what we were originally going to charge we were originally going to charge 10 grand. But saying 10 grand off the top might sound a little bit expensive. And of course, you can adjust these prices according to what it is that you sell, what it is that you do, so on and so forth. Or we can go £200, £125 per person, which is what, 25k. And if we work with 300 plus, then it is just £100 per person, which then equals to 30k. So what we're saying here, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, is quite simply the more people we work with, the more cost effective it is for you as a corporation and the more value we can add. Which of the three options would you love to go with? Oh, game changer. Now you've started your bottom price at 15 and your higher level price at 30, and you've created more value for the client. Because look, if you've got 300 people in a room per set, based on this example, for example, you've got 300 people in a room, you have much more likelihood to add a way bigger impact. You have much more likelihood to transform more lives in the room. You have much more likelihood to get the result for the client. And if you have more likelihood to get the result for the client, are they more or less likely to give you the testimonial? Of course, they're way more likely to give you the testimonial. So if you like that, you're going to love this. And before I go on to number 2, drop a comment in the comment box below, by the way. What are your thoughts around the ratchet pricing model? Is this something that you can implement into your consultancy and or coaching business? If so, drop a comment below. I would love to hear from you. Okay, so what is number 2? This is the easiest way for you to start increasing your prices, increase your value in a way which feels really, really valuable for the client. And that is not to just have a short-term solution. If you focus only on a short-term solution, then guess what? You only have a short-term impact and you only have a short-term result. And they're going to go, oh, well done, Jerome. We actually loved your training. It was brilliant. A-star. Thank you very much. See you in 5 years' time, maybe. You're going out the door. Next week, they're bringing in somebody else. And then the month after, they're bringing in somebody else. And it just becomes, guess what? It becomes a negative situation for them because they've got to constantly go out, find new people, vet new people, got a new invoice coming in from somebody else. They've not put this number in correctly. And it just becomes confusing for the client. It becomes more paperwork and it just becomes more taxing for the client. And it also becomes more taxing for you because in essence, you've kind of got to do the same thing in terms of going out there and looking for more and more clients every single time. And I know this stuff because I've worked with a lot of corporate institutions. I started my first coaching consultancy company when I was 17, scaled it from just £30 to £3 million in revenue. And that was a sports coaching and curriculum teaching, creative curriculum teaching in primary schools. And we ended up working with hundreds of primary schools throughout the country, impacting up to 50,000 children every week. And we did some of that by implementing the strategy that I'm going to share with you next. And the strategy is to have what we call a long-term contract. I don't know, it's incredibly simple, but guess what? Most people don't do it. They have a short-term, oh, we'll come in, we'll work with you for 2 weeks, or oh, we'll come in, we'll work with you for 6 months. Why not 6 years? Just think bigger. Just think more expansive. Just think more value add. Because when you have a 6-year contract, or in most more common cases, a 5-year agreement to work with that client, guess what? They don't need to have recurring conversations about whether you're going to continue or not. They don't need to think about whether you're going to dip out or whether you're just going to, fly off to another country or not. They don't necessarily need to think about all of this stuff. And they have security. You have security. So one of the ways that we used to do this with primary schools was one of the big challenges for many of our schools is we had lots of conversations with schools and we would say to them, what's the biggest challenge that you're facing right now? And they would say consistency. We just want consistent staff member, a consistency of organization, and a consistency of delivery. So then we added that into our values model, and one of our values was consistency. We had jumpers, and on the back it said consistent quality teaching. Okay, so we say to the head teacher, okay, so Mrs. Adams, totally get that you're looking for consistency. And when we start working with your children next month with the year ones, how long would you like that consistency to last for? And they would go, oh, well, we would want it to last for a long time. We just want it to keep going, really. So you want us to teach children from year 1 right the way through to year 6, right? And they'll go, yeah, absolutely. I'll go, well, it seems like it would make sense for us to agree a long-term provision so that we're able to keep that quality or consistency of having the same teacher time and time again. How does that feel for you? And on many occasions, not all the time, but on many occasions, they'll say, oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, brilliant. We'll send the agreement over for your authorization, and we look forward to communicating with you about that next week. Very, very simple, very, very powerful. So where are you now? If you're right now, you're having contracts that are less than 6 months, extend it to a year. That is your standard agreement. If you have a contract that is typically for a year, extend it to 36 months. That is now your standard agreement. And if you already have 36-month agreements, extend it to 60 months. And the reason why we say months rather than years, it feels easier, it feels smoother, and it feels more comfortable for the client to consider. So have long-term contracts in play, and that will make sure that your revenue is then consistent and you're not consistently looking for new clients. Now, what is number 3? Can I show you one more? Have you subscribed yet? Go ahead and subscribe if you're getting value from this video, because I'm going to show you one more now, which is going to be an absolute game changer, because a lot of the problems that corporates have, that consultants have when they're selling into corporates, is that they kind of sound like everybody else. And it can kind of come across like a competition on, oh, well, we can get it for cheaper over there and we can get it for cheaper over there. My friend, it's not a supermarket. Okay? So what you've got to do is what we call value price positioning. And I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase value price positioning. I don't know if you ever heard the phrase from a client, oh, I'll tell you what, we'll have a think about it, we'll speak with the board, and we'll speak with the team, and we'll come back to you next week. Oh, horrible. Here's a way to minimize the number of times that you get that sentence and maximize the number of times that you actually get the opportunity that you truly desire and deserve. And it's called value price positioning. So what you say is something really eloquent and smooth, like you position the value of what they're going to get first before you mention the price. So you might say, let's say you're selling in diversity and consult. Let's say you're selling in diversity training for corporate organizations. Then you might say something like, okay, so based upon what you shared earlier, Mr. Tom, you're looking for a diversity consultant that can really help you to expand the level of diversity in your organization, which would mean that, here's the critical part, pay attention, here's the critical part, which would mean that actually you start to attract more of a diverse culture, which also means that your revenue is going to increase by a few £1 million. Is that right? And of course, you would have had that previous conversation and you just speak into whatever it is that they said that they were going to get. And then they say, yeah, perfect. So as a result, so our focus is to help you attract more top quality and diverse talent so you can add an extra 2, perhaps even £3 million to your revenue. And the investment for the training is 30,000. Now, the purpose of the training and the focus of it is to X, Y, Z. Can you see what we're doing here? We're positioning price up here, and we're positioning value up here, and then we're positioning price like way down here, Like the value is 3 mil, and the price is 30 grand. Like, it's a no-brainer now. And what you're doing is you're really getting them to hone in on and focus on not the price of 30K, but the value that they're getting in this example of 3 million. Now, your value might not be 3 million, I get that. Okay. And you might not necessarily know how to actually find the value. And the key way to do that is to ask questions. So so if we help you to create a more diverse culture, why is that important to you? And what results would that help you to generate? But why would that help you specifically as a CEO? Or why would that help you specifically as HR manager? Boom. Now you're starting to ask questions, you're getting them to uncover the true value and get them to say it. Not you say it, get them to say what the true value is. And then you just feed it back to them like a beautiful, delightful meal that they were always looking for. So I hope you found that video useful. Which one of these 3 has been the most valuable to you? And which one are you going to implement? Go ahead and comment below. My name is Jazz Rose, and I took my first coaching consultancy business from £30 to £3 million before selling it and retiring at age 34. And I did it by implementing these 3 strategies that I've just shared with you and many more strategies that I'd love to share with you on more videos. So if you want to see more videos just like this one, go ahead and make sure that you subscribe. If you're looking for bespoke mentoring consultancy on how to take your business to the next level, then there'll be a link in the description below where you can book a call with me or my team. I look forward to serving you and seeing you on the next training. Bye for now.